Are you tired of team meetings that go nowhere? Do you ever feel like your leadership team is pulling in different directions? You're not alone. Many leaders and teams struggle with common yet often overlooked pitfalls. Hi, I'm Jay, and welcome to this video where we'll be diving into the world of Patrick Lencioni, a renowned expert in leadership and organizational health. Lencioni's work focuses on practical, real-world solutions to create cohesive and effective teams. Today, we'll be exploring key insights from 3 of his most influential books: The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, The 5 Temptations of a CEO, and The 4 Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive. Over the next few minutes, we'll uncover the common themes that run through these books and provide you with actionable strategies that you can implement today to transform your team's dynamics and leadership approach. Does that sound like a good plan? Great! Then let's dive in. In this segment, we'll uncover a key theme that links Lencioni's works, pinpointing and conquering the obstacles that hold teams and organizations back from achieving their highest potential. Let's begin with the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Lencioni explains that many teams underperform because they succumb to 5 core dysfunctions, which can be visualized as a pyramid. The foundation of this pyramid, or rather the absence of it, is trust. When team members are unwilling to be open and vulnerable with one another, it breeds an environment of distrust. This lack of trust then manifests as a fear of conflict. Teams avoid crucial conversations and constructive debates, hindering progress. The fear of conflict naturally leads to a lack of commitment. Without open debate and genuine buy-in, team members are less likely to fully commit to decisions. This, in turn, results in the avoidance of accountability. Team members shy away from holding each other responsible for their actions and the team's collective results. Ultimately, the avoidance of accountability culminates in inattention to results. Team members start prioritizing their individual goals or the needs of their respective departments over the team's overall objectives. Overcoming these dysfunctions demands a commitment to vulnerability, open and honest communication, and a collective focus on the team's overarching success. Shifting our focus, The 5 Temptations of a CEO explores the common pitfalls that CEOs face, which can undermine the entire organization when indulged. Lencioni pinpoints 5 temptations that CEOs often grapple with. First, choosing status over results, where a CEO prioritizes their personal standing over the organization's performance. Second, popularity over accountability, seeking to be liked rather than upholding high standards. Third, certainty over clarity, demanding complete assurance before making decisions, which stifles progress. Fourth, harmony over conflict, avoiding uncomfortable discussions to maintain a false sense of peace. And fifth, invulnerability over trust, projecting an image of perfection and strength, hindering genuine connection and open communication. These temptations share a common thread: prioritizing personal needs and ego over the organization's well-being and success. Recognizing and resisting these temptations is vital for any CEO aspiring to cultivate a truly high-performing organization. Now, let's talk about something that's essential for any successful organization: clarity and communication. It sounds simple, but it's often where things break down. Lencioni emphasizes this across all 3 books, though in slightly different ways. Think about the 5 dysfunctions of a team. A team might be able to build trust and even navigate conflict, but if they're not crystal clear on what decisions have been made and who's responsible for what, they're going nowhere. Commitment to shared decisions and accountability for results are impossible without clarity. If team members aren't on the same page about the goals, they can't possibly hold each other accountable. Then you have the 4 obsessions of an extraordinary executive. Lencioni argues that extraordinary leaders are obsessed with over-communicating clarity. It's not enough to just have a clear vision, values, and priorities. You need to relentlessly communicate them. Repeat them. Find new ways to explain them. Because the moment you think everyone understands, that's when misalignment creeps in. The idea here is that if everyone isn't aligned and moving in the same direction, your organization is not running efficiently. Finally, consider the 5 temptations of a CEO. One of the biggest temptations is choosing certainty over clarity. CEOs sometimes avoid making definitive statements or setting a clear course because they're afraid of being wrong. But that ambiguity paralyzes their teams. A strong leader is willing to risk being wrong in order to provide the necessary clarity for their team to move forward decisively. Even if the direction needs to be adjusted later, that's better than standing still. Now, let's talk about the bedrock upon which all successful teams and organizations are built. Trust. In all three of Lencioni's books, trust emerges not just as a desirable quality, but as an essential ingredient. It's the foundation that supports everything else. In the 5 dysfunctions of a team, Lencioni makes it crystal clear. The absence of trust is the primary dysfunction. Without it, teams simply cannot function effectively. Why? Because a lack of trust prevents team members from being vulnerable with one another. They're unwilling to admit mistakes, ask for help, or offer constructive criticism. They hold back, creating an environment of artificial harmony where real issues fester. This need for vulnerability extends to the highest levels of leadership. In the 5 temptations of a CEO, Lencioni exposes the temptation for leaders to appear invulnerable. CEOs often feel they need to project an image of unwavering strength and certainty. However, this facade prevents them from building genuine connections with their teams. When leaders aren't willing to show vulnerability, they stifle open communication and create a culture of fear. Finally, in the 4 obsessions of an extraordinary executive, the importance of trust is reinforced through the need for interpersonal commitment within the leadership team. A cohesive leadership team requires deep levels of trust and a commitment to one another. Without it, politics thrive, anxiety increases, and energy is wasted on self-preservation rather than achieving organizational goals. So, how do you know if trust is lacking? Look for the telltale signs. Excessive politics, unnecessary anxiety among team members, and a general sense that people are holding back. Building trust isn't easy, but it's the most important investment you can make in your team and organization. In the next section, we'll explore some practical steps you can take to cultivate trust and create a more vulnerable and effective environment. Now, let's move from theory to practice. Understanding the dysfunctions, temptations, and obsessions is one thing, but implementing change is where the real challenge lies. So, how can we apply Lencioni's insights to build stronger teams and more effective leadership? First, let's tackle trust, the bedrock of any high-performing team. One powerful exercise is the personal histories exercise. In this activity, each team member shares key experiences, where they grew up, significant challenges they've faced, and what's important to them. It sounds simple, but vulnerability is contagious. Another practical tool is the team effectiveness exercise. Have each team member identify the single most important contribution that each of their peers makes to the team. This can be done anonymously. After completing the sheet, the facilitator will share the responses with the entire team. It can also provide an opportunity for individuals to offer constructive feedback on how team members could be even more effective. Now, what about healthy conflict? This is where many teams stumble. The key is to create an environment where disagreement is not only tolerated but encouraged. Establish clear rules for debate. For example, every team member can share their thoughts without fear of criticism. To ensure that conflict is constructive, consider mining for disagreement. Ask a designated person to play the role of devil's advocate in a professional, respectful way. Next, let's talk about reinforcing clarity. Once you've defined your goals, values, and roles, you can communicate it to everyone on your team. Set specific deadlines and milestones to drive accountability and momentum. Finally, let's consider real-world examples. Think about Catherine Peterson in the 5 dysfunctions. She fearlessly confronted the dysfunctions within her team, even when it was uncomfortable. It required her to set clear expectations, demand accountability, and foster trust through vulnerability. Likewise, CEOs who resist the temptations of status and popularity often make difficult but necessary decisions that benefit the entire organization. These leaders prioritize results over personal gain and model the behavior they expect from their teams. So, as we've explored today, the insights from Patrick Lencioni's The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, The 5 Temptations of a CEO, and The 4 Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive all point to a few core principles. We've seen how overcoming dysfunctions and temptations is absolutely vital, whether it's the absence of trust within a team or a CEO prioritizing their ego over results. These challenges are real, but they're also surmountable. Underlying every successful team and organization is a foundation of crystal clear communication. It's not just about talking more, it's about ensuring everyone understands the goals, their roles, and the why behind what they do. And finally, perhaps most fundamentally, we've highlighted the critical importance of building trust and vulnerability. Teams that trust each other aren't afraid to engage in healthy conflict, hold each other accountable, and ultimately, achieve remarkable results. These principles aren't isolated ideas, they're interconnected. Trust enables open communication, which leads to clarity, which helps overcome dysfunctions and temptations, and so on. It's a virtuous cycle. I encourage you to take these insights and apply them within your own teams and organizations. Start small, be consistent, and remember that building a strong foundation takes time and effort. The rewards, a cohesive, high-performing team and a thriving organization, are well worth it. Thank you for joining me, and I wish you the best on your journey to becoming a more effective leader and team member. One more thing. Don't forget to subscribe,